So James has birthday cake today, thanks to the Salvation Army. They had this, and so I grabbed that. And I just brought you the fork. I figure you can just eat whatever you want of it, and just keep going that way. But I wanted to make James arugula juice. We each have a tub of this to drink, and his has turmeric and black pepper in it, so it's especially yummy. But that's because I already have my turmeric and black pepper this morning with the power greens. So my diet has improved significantly over the past few days. I've been doing better. So bottoms up. And on the way home, I asked James, I said, do you want me to make juice right away? And he said, maybe in an hour or something. And then I said, once I got home, I said, well, do you want me to make arugula juice and then you can have birthday cake? And he said, okay.
Sure.
So I managed to get him to do the arugula juice just by tempting him with the birthday cake. So I'm glad that's working out. That glass doesn't pour too well, hey?
Heavy.
Yeah. Anyway, we're going to talk about Shazam, which we both enjoyed.
Yeah.
I watched it, I think it was 5 times, because James he falls asleep right away.
After I eat, yeah.
Yeah.
So often we put a show on. Well, what happened there was we ate the popcorn too.
Oh yes,
So
we had some popcorn. It wasn't good.
It's good enough for me. It wasn't
Okay.
great popcorn.
Well,
bad popcorn has rancid butter on it. Okay.
Yeah. Okay,
Well,
so
you could
this
say it
was
wasn't
called
good. It was
Skinny
okay.
Pop. It was a brand. It was given to us, so I'm very thankful. And it was very low in fat. I think it was.
Was it?
Yeah, extremely.
Wow.
Yeah.
It still tasted okay to me.
Well, they put a lot of sodium in it,
Which means salt.
so that's why.
Yeah.
So they made up for the lack of fat with high sodium.
Exactly.
But
So it had 2 out of 3 things: crispy and salt. This
yeah.
didn't have the fat.
Yeah. So, anyway, I was impressed with whoever works for the place that had that, because it must have been Superstore or something. I don't know. It was around 50% off sticker, and they put it right in the middle of the, like on top of the O for pop. So they were really thinking about it so whoever did that, you're wonderful.
It's
That
got to
was
be
really
a
good.
20-year-old like I was when I was 20.
Yeah.
Yeah, very nice. Very
So
nice.
they placed it really well on the bag. I was impressed. Anyway, I did not like the product. I thought I ate it, but
yeah, it gets
I was
this
thinking,
from me. It's 1.5 cents.
Yeah, I was tempted to go drizzle some butter on it or something. Honestly.
That bad, eh?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not much into popcorn. I like fat. I like fat a lot.
You must be just then kind of humoring me when you get popcorn. Just you must get it from me, right? Or is it just like a
We've never had
ritual
fat
for
or popcorn without fat on it.
Well,
Like for a
of some
while
sort,
there,
yeah.
I was convincing myself that melting coconut oil and drizzling on top of popcorn made it healthy.
It still
It
tastes
was
good
good.
though. It tastes good, and it's got to be
Yes.
healthier than butter. Maybe.
I don't know.
Okay.
Honestly.
You were heating it up though, right? Is that a problem with coconut oil?
You can heat. No, it's high in saturated fat.
Mhm.
So, yeah, there's lauric acid in it, which is supposed to be good for you. And for a long
See?
time, I was convincing myself of that. But
Well, it wouldn't be perfect. Would it be if you're a popcorn addict? Wouldn't it be the way to go?
Yeah, if you're going, yes, I suppose so. If you can't possibly keep yourself from eating saturated fat, I suppose that's
The way to go.
probably the way to go.
Because it
But
works.
yeah, it does.
As I
And you can
recall,
cook with
I
it.
was
You
as
can fry with
enthused
it and
about it
stuff.
as I was
Yes, you
about
were.
any sort of
Yeah.
popcorn with
So
butter
James liked it as much as
slathered all over it. So
yeah. But that's why we haven't been eating popcorn lately, is because we were eating it with coconut oil, and then I decided,
what the heck? Anyway, it was good for a break. The Shazam movie was pretty well perfect for a
it was
popcorn break.
great.
It was funny, you know.
I loved
They
it
got so
all
many
times
things.
that I watched.
This
I
guy's
didn't fall
a
asleep.
grown-up kid, right? And he grows up overnight, and he's doing things like walking into
Oh,
things.
it's so
above,
believable.
you know,
They really
he's
put a
not
lot of
ducking his
thought
head.
into this.
Yeah, they,
So James looked it up, and you said that Shazam was another name for what superhero?
well, not another name for it. It
Oh,
was just
sorry.
another superhero shared the name, something like Captain Marvel or some sort of Marvel thing.
Really?
Even though it was a DC property.
Huh.
Yeah.
Well, I'd never
And
heard of this.
Marvel had its own Captain Marvel. 'Cause I kind of wonder if, well, I think of him as a 70s phenomenon. I don't know if Marvel Comics was named after Captain Marvel.
See, I don't know anything about these superheroes except from what James tells me. And he can go on for hours talking
about some things, but
the superheroes.
I don't know them like someone who's like I've been out of the mix for about a generation or more. So I was in the 80s when I was a DC fan, as my older brother was.
Okay, but
in
you
the
have
60s, but in the 80s I got into Marvel.
you have a lot to say about the psychology of different characters and stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
I kind of thought some of the classic Marvel ones, they're fascinating. So
Sure. So anyway, I enjoy watching these sorts of shows with James because he loves the stuff, and I know he does because he'll talk about it a lot. The
well,
superheroes.
sometimes the movies don't live up to
Oh, there's
the
that.
overall conception,
Yes.
right? You know, a lot
Because
depends on who you've
for
cast
me,
as.
I watched Fantastic Four and I thought it was terrific. Not for James.
2 out of 4 were terrific. The guy was playing the Thing back, when was that? Almost 15 years ago.
Yeah, he was good, and so
He
was,
was awesome.
the Flamer guy.
The Flame is a great Captain America, and he's a great Johnny Flame. So the
Very different energies for both characters,
Yeah.
and he does them both very well.
yeah, Reed Richards or Mr. Fantastic, pretty good. You know, the
The
one thing
Invisible
I've
Girl
got-
did not seem invisible, and it's true.
Well, she's too visible. She was picked because she's
Yeah, I know.
visible. What's her name? Jennifer Albiston or something like that?
Alba?
Alba. There we go. It's some sort of a
Very cute.
Yes,
but
I
just
know,
not
but
a good fit, and I know.
you know, like
but-
I get the feeling that she's a scientist too, as I recall, just like her husband.
Well,
You know, and Jessica Alba, or whatever her name is,
Jessica, that's it, isn't it?
I think, or Jennifer Alba. Anyway, one of those 3-syllable J words that I.
But
find so
anyway,
impressive.
the boy who's really into comics in this show, he was talking about, he was going over the invisibility versus flight. Which power would you like to have? And I never wanted to have flight. Never. And,
well,
you
can
know,
suffer
that might
from
be
motion-
boys who'd say
you
that.
suffer from motion sickness.
But I always wanted to have invisibility. And it's not because I wanted to be some perv peeking out on people. It's just because I didn't want to have people looking at me. I always wanted to be invisible. And it didn't seem to work. It never worked out for me.
Well, when
My
you're-
mom, somehow, she's invisible. And she
It's
does an
hard
amazing
for
job
a
of it.
blonde
I don't know
person
how
to
she
be
does it.
invisible in our, a blonde woman to be invisible in our society.
Maybe. I don't know. My
It's
mom is
just
so awesome at it. And I never picked up on it somehow.
Well, you could always dye your hair. Please don't, but you know, some sort of brown or something.
No. I don't, James, nobody notices mid 40s me.
Yeah.
I'm pretty much
We
invisible
were out
now.
for a walk today, and there are all sorts of people noticing. Anyway, yeah.
They don't say anything.
Well, it's different from when you're.
Now I can dress however I
A
want.
teenager.
I could go out naked if I wanted to. Nobody'd notice.
Well, they would notice, but they wouldn't necessarily be. I mean, a woman that's 3 times 15-year-old or something like that is intimidating. I think. So.
All right. Well, anyway, great movie. And I loved that James mentioned Big, how the the story is this kid, he's all of a sudden he gets these magical powers, and he's transformed when he's says Shazam. He's transformed into his perfect Superman body, right? So he's
Steroid
older.
assistant.
All of a sudden he's an adult, and then he can go back to being a kid, so he has the best of, it's like the best thing for a 14-year-old boy, right? Because they
Was he 14?
like, yeah, the boy was supposed to be 14.
Okay.
And then he could be 14 again, then he could be this big studly guy. So awesome. So they made a reference to the movie Big in there, which I liked, when he was in the toy store
Was
and he
that
was
that Tom
walking
Hanks
on the piano. Yeah.
That was the Tom Hanks vehicle, right?
Yes.
Okay, that was a cute. I don't think I ever enjoyed
Oh,
Tom
everyone
Hanks as
liked
much
that movie.
as yeah.
And
like
obviously
sometimes
the writers of this did too.
sometimes people never duplicate what they did, or like Nicolas Cage in Raising Arizona.
I know.
I don't think he's ever.
I
come
loved
close,
him in that.
Now, Tom Hanks, I suppose, is come close. I kind of liked him in Forrest Gump. It's kind of like playing a grown-up.
It's a very different character.
Yeah, it is, but it's again someone who's.
No,
not
he did well in it.
right.
You're right.
My name is Forrest Gump, and then how does he say it?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I
People
don't
call
remember
me
that
Forrest Gump. That's the line. My name is Forrest Gump. People
Life's
call
like
me
a
Forrest
box
Gump.
of chocolates. That's
right.
all I remember from that.
The other
So
famous.
I didn't actually care for the movie, but I did care for Big, and I loved this. This was excellent. Like James said, there was so much attention to detail. When the kid is grown, then all of a sudden he's bumping his head on things, and he's, because he's not adjusted to being that size, right? And I know if I wear a hat or something, I'm getting into a car and there we go. I used to work wearing a hard hat a lot.
Oh, hard hats.
Oh, you're knocking your head around every time you get into the truck.
But when someone creates a safe hard hat, isn't that weird?
Yeah. No, you just need to remember to take it off before you get into the truck.
Yeah, but you forget.
But you forget,
stuff like that.
and clunk every time.
You don't move around in a coordinated fashion. It's ridiculous. Your head is important for balance and stuff like that. So if someone does make a safer one,
so yeah,
they
getting
deserve
used
to
to
make
the
a fortune.
differences in height. I suppose if you have to wear a hard hat for work, and then you just put it on right when you leave the house, and you get used to your head being in the hard hat, and then you'd only bonk it for the first little while getting into your vehicle.
That's one issue, though.
Yeah.
You see, but one of the issues with safety is just looking around, and you don't.
Everyone would look at
well.
you funny while you're driving around, going to the grocery store, wearing your hard hat. But whatever.
Well, you actually should wear a helmet. Think of what car racers do. They wear helmets inside of their cars, and there's a reason. You
might want to start wearing a hard hat in your car.
I have a relative who died instantly, bashing his head against the support for. He was wearing a seatbelt, but he's in a small car, and the support for the roof.
Yeah, I've always wanted like roller coaster kind of
seatbelts
in a car. I don't know why they don't put them in there. I'd wear them.
Of course, those
seatbelts
and helmets should be required. So, people would come out of there a whole lot better.
But yeah. Anyway, so you know how our child would be kept, because looking at the little the pansy thing, James thought of little kid in a snowsuit, and I was reminded of my sister when she was raising her eldest, and she'd bundle him up like that, and he couldn't move. And
that was in Calgary, was it?
Yeah, and her husband would be like, he's gonna get too hot.
Calgary can get pretty cold. It's not like Lethbridge most of the time.
Yeah.
It's not like Edmonton, and that's the other side of it.
But it was really cute.
Edmonton and Grand Prairie, pretty cool.
Yeah, she sure loved that little kid. Anyway, what else to say about Shazam? Oh my gosh, he's supposed to be... Now, something to be said about this movie is the... magician guy, Shazam, the original guy that gave the powers. He had this big test, and he was just he tested all these kids to see if they were good enough, because he was only gonna give his powers to the best, the perfect person, no flaws, da 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 da. And then a kid who failed the test, he ended up going back to the guy, and he made off with the bad guys that tested what were they, 7 sins or whatever, 7 deadly sins.
Mm-hmm.
They tested the kids to see if they were worthy, right? And so none of the kids measured up. And this one bad kid, he found his way back there, and he took these 7 deadly sins with him. And then Shazam's like, oh man, I'm gonna have to stop these guys. So he gives his power to this one kid, but the kid didn't have to pass the test. None of the other kids passed the test. This kid gets the power. He's the perfect guy all of a sudden. He didn't have to pass the test. So that's not really fair. And then, but it turns out that he seemed to be a good guy in the end anyway. But he's certainly not a good guy as a 14-year-old boy. Not good at all. He does all sorts of things like that a 14-year-old boy would do. Like go to the strippers and stuff once he's a big guy. And drinks beer. So yeah, he's drinking beer, but he didn't really drink it because it tasted disgusting.
He spat it out.
Yeah.
But he was trying.
He was trying.
So was his friend.
Yes. And what else they stole. They stole all sorts of things.
Well, ATM machines.
First he stole his friend's Superman bullet, which is not a Superman bullet, probably. But, and then he stole, a bunch of money from an ATM.
Mm-hmm. To make up for the money he lost at the strippers.
Yeah.
I think.
But then, I mean, he was given that money by a scared woman anyway.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So all this stuff, right? Not super good. And yet he has these superpowers, but, I mean, he is learning along the way with the superpowers, and he does end up to be a pretty worthy fellow at the end. But, and, you know, he's a foster kid, and honestly, I watch this movie and I'm like, I have to get foster kids, you know, but I also have to remember that, you know, my experience with foster kids in the real world in my teenage years, you know, it's probably a little better to go from than Shazam. So
I don't think you want those foster kids in the mix with other kids.
Well, they're all foster kids in this one.
I know, but just in real life.
Yeah. So. But I love the movie. It was really good. James didn't even eat the cake.
No, yeah.
Whew. All I had to do was tempt him with the cake. Maybe I can just bring the cake out every time I'm going to make you juice. I'm going to be like, oh, power greens and cake. And then you can just look at the cake and you somehow get the power greens down.
Yeah.
Who knows? Oh, now he's getting
I just didn't want to be shown gorging.